explicit. All right, so these are just happy at this. So I just saw this moods. That's been funny, right? Yeah, the ecosystem on the real estate this period has been wonderful. You understand? But of course, like someone told me, whenever there is any crisis or issues or challenges or some kind of bottleneck in any sector, something is about to flow.
Yes.
So it's just, it will take only those who are persistent, who will weather the current season. Yeah, who will weather the storm. All right, so first of all,
Please give me that. Give me some flyer.
so you know, for a while we've not been printing flyers, right? We've not been printing physical flyers. So, but I think our MD decided that we should, print one for the current campaigns that we are running. So, yeah, just let them see. So this for the current campaign. For some of us, like it's just send physical flyer, But let's just have it. If you need more, maybe 5 or so, you can just have it. So it is easier for those of us who talk to people physically to show them something. We have another one for civil landlord, but it's not a flyer, it's a short, right? That one has a little bit of details. Of course, sir, are you aware of this campaign, or you just seen it for the first time?
No, I've seen it.
Do you know about the civil landlord one? Civil landlord. No, you've known about this campaign. There's another one we call civil. This is a child to landlord. There's another one we call civil landlord. The same property. Are you aware of this? Are you aware of civil landlord? But let me talk about it last week, all right? We should talk about it. You are not here. No, the civil landlord is the same campaign but for civil servants. No, not Monday, on the anniversary. She didn't mention, okay. So, before I go our training for today, I'll just quickly share with us. So, I can see new faces. I don't know. Are you new in P1 study? Are you new in P1? Who brought you here? Wow. I want to put our hands together for you, please. What about you, sir? James, you brought him. Wow. Jam your hands again. So, I you ready starting? Just give me today. So we are supposed to take
at P1 Sterling, we've decided to take a turn, to take a different direction in costing. We've decided that our costing as advertised will include documentation and developmental, everything. Because we discovered our clients always have friction with our PBOs. When you say land is 3 million, after they now discover that documentation is different, development is different, and you always cause an issue. So we just put the entire price. Everything.
Even development.
Everything. Now, Lagos State is increasing cost of development, cost of land. So this 6 million might probably not remain 6 million for maybe the next 2 weeks or so. So if we leave this 6 million for the whole of November, at some point in November, we will be at a loss. But MD is still leaving it at 6 million. Hello? I'm just giving you ideas that you can use to pitch to people. That this price doesn't stay the same. It's not permanent. It can increase, we can cancel it anytime. So this is an opportunity for us to really see how we can push this particular Gulf City. All right. So with no further ado, I would like to welcome our trainee for today. Please put your hands together as I welcome Mr. Tijani Mohammed. He's an HR. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. My name is Tijani Mohammed, and today we'll be talking about logic. Hello? The logic. I hope everybody has their writing materials here. Yes. You don't come there. It's something to write. Get on with me. Well, you need to write. Okay. So it's great to see everybody here, bright. I'm sure you people have prepared for this seminar today. So the logic and fallacies in real estate marketing. Fallacies, yes. FALLACIES. Fallacies. So this will not be like the regular marketing training or sales training. This will be a little bit more psychological, delving into the minds of the marketer, the real estate marketer, understanding how to communicate with the client, to reason with the client, and also to understand the errors in reasoning that you should not make. Now, what the client wants to hear from you is logical reasoning, not persuasion. When the client feels that you are reasoning logically with him, he is more likely to pay you attention. You are more likely to buy his interest. But when you are making errors in reasoning, the client is human being, so it's just like I'm trying to sell to you now, and I'm telling you things that does not sound reasonable. Say for example, this land will appreciate very soon. And your question is why? Our MD. that, that is a fallacy. That is incorrect. A more correct answer would be this property will appreciate over a short period of time. And the client asks you why. And you said, oh, because there is a government development project in the area. And you say other things like some of our clients who bought land in this property last 3 years have found out that the property has increased by 30%. That is logical reasoning. That is not fallacy. So, why is logic important for marketers? Okay, let's define logic so that you have everything outlined in your notes. Now, logic is the art of correct reasoning. The art of correct reasoning. Logic is the art of correct reasoning. It comes from a Greek word called logos. Logos, like logo, meaning reason or thought. Logic separates a person who talks well from a person who thinks well. You might be a loud talker, you might have a lot of things to say, but then you have to think before you talk. Now, why logic is important for marketers? It helps to separate emotion from reasoning. It helps to separate emotion from reasoning. You see, clients might not say it to you that your logic has an error, but they will feel it. They might not speak about it to you, but they will feel it. So, logic trains you to think before you speak. You don't rush to defend, you understand first. Every client has their own peculiarity, why they want to invest in property. So you need to be able to understand what that client needs for himself so that you can be able to suggest the best property that will suit his need. Logic helps you to recognize contradictions. You never say two things that cancel each other. You can't say this land is a high-end property. Logic helps you to recognize contradictions, meaning you never say two things that contradict each other. Say, for example, now you're trying to market the property and you're telling the client that it is an high-end investment. And then the client says to you, I don't want to go for a property that is too expensive. And then you say, no, it's very cheap. You're saying two different things at the same time. You just said it's an high-end investment property, and at the same time, you're telling the client that it is very cheap. Now, that client might not say it to you or question what you've said, but in his mind, he's already losing trust in what you are saying. You are sounding more like a scam. You're sounding like you are just putting pressure on him to get him to purchase the land. So he will take a step back. Instead of him to trust you more, you lose more trust. And that happens a lot. Logic helps you again to ask the right questions. For example, what is the evidence? What is the reason behind this claim? Now, for you to make a claim, there must be an evidence and there must be a reason behind that claim. Like I mentioned before, if you say that this property is going to appreciate in a few years, what is the evidence of that your claim? What is the reason behind that your claim? Now, the clients want to hear the reason behind the claim. They want to hear your evidence for claiming that this property will appreciate in the next few years. So you need to give them, okay, the government is building a development project in the area already. It's motor and a lot of investors are opening up businesses around the area. That is evidence, and that is the reason behind the claim. Logic also helps you to build strong arguments. It also helps you to build strong arguments. Every claim must have a foundation. Okay, let's try this. If I say this estate will appreciate because it's appreciating, what's wrong with that statement? Can anybody help me out? What's wrong with that statement? This estate will appreciate because it's appreciating.
Okay. Because
It's
it has
appreciating.
started- yes, it has started developing, as in people are already building and the landmarks within
Okay.
the refinery, the coastal road, as in you can use that for.
Yes, I understand what you're saying.
So, and why it will appreciate because it has been appreciating and in rivers already you see it. The only one way is going up. You only make profitable if you buy it today at the rate of 1.5 million.
Mm.
And there is a demand on the AC that it has started development.
Yes.
What it means is that by next year, it won't be 1.5 and it will run to be 4 million.
Thank you very much, Mr. Peter. Does anybody have any contradictory response to that? I think would you? Anybody?
To me, I think that statement is not correct.
Okay.
You said this estate is appreciating
Because it's appreciating. Yes.
To me, based on what you are teaching us, based on logic, it's not philosophical, it's not logical.
It's against logical reasoning, right? Yes. Yes. Mr. Peter.
Yes. There are no evidence.
No evidence. Exactly. So when you hear a statement like that, you see that it's an illogical statement. Very illogical. You can't say something is happening because it's happening. There must be a reason why it's happening. So it's that reason that we always employ when we are speaking to a client or when we are arguing. Now, let me make this clear before we proceed. In logical reasoning, an argument doesn't mean a quarrel. I'm just saying this, you need to jot it down. I'll still come back to it. In logical reasoning, an argument is not a quarrel. An argument is more of you're given a premise and a conclusion. Now, a premise can come like this. You can say things like, all landed properties appreciate. This is a landed property. So therefore, this landed property will appreciate. Now, the first statement is the first premise. It says that all landed properties appreciate. Now, this is a landed property. It's also a premise. That's the second premise. Now, the conclusion now states that, so therefore, this landed property will appreciate. You can see the link. That is an example of an argument in logical reasoning. We start from the first premise to the second premise, then to the conclusion. So in logical reasoning, we draw our conclusions from our premise. That's what separates logical people from illogical people. Every conclusion that a logical person draws is being drawn from sets of premises. Another example of an argument, a logical argument. Every smart investor looks for properties that grow in value. That is the first premise. Every smart investor looks for properties that grow in value. The second premise, this estate is located beside an ongoing government project. You see, the first premise starts with every smart investor looks for properties that grow in value. The second one states this estate is located beside an ongoing government project. Now, the conclusion drawn from these two premises states, therefore, this estate will likely grow in value. And that is a valid argument. That is a valid argument. Because the fact that this estate is located beside an ongoing government project, we understand that logically it will increase commerce in that area. Now, that being said, we can understand from that premise that the estate will likely grow in value. You need to understand that there are so many factors that affect growth. Not just because an ongoing government project is in the area, then it must grow in value. Yeah. So when you are giving your arguments, you need to be clear. Don't contradict yourself. Very clear. That is why the word likely is used here. Therefore, this estate will likely grow in value. Now, people don't buy because of price. They buy because of conviction. And conviction comes from reasoning. You have to reason to be convicted to your argument, to your property. So, the laws and principles of logic. Let's quickly go there. I don't want to keep you. Our time is far spent. The laws and principles of logic. We already know the meaning of logic. Now let's talk about the laws that guide logic. The laws that guide reasoning. So you cannot, just like you cannot drive on the road without obeying the traffic laws, you cannot also employ logic without following the rules of logic. Now the first law of logic is the law of identity. The law of identity. It states that a thing is what a thing is. Say, for example, this microphone is this microphone. This microphone cannot be this remote. That's illogical. A is A. So now you are marketing a landed property. You cannot market a 600 square meter as a 900 square meter because you want to entice the client. That's wrong. That is illogical. If you're marketing a 600 square meter landed property, it should be marketed as a 600 square meter because the moment you lose the trust of your client, you lose that deal. They will come to you, you go to somebody, and he would even buy that 600 square meter you were scared of marketing to him from another person. Well, you know why? He would buy it because he trusts that person more than you. You just try to lie to him. How is he sure that you even get the land? It's true. I don't think anybody would like to buy anything from somebody who lies, who is not trustworthy. If I am buying a pencil from you, let it be that I am buying a pencil from you. Don't tell me you are selling me a biro and then you give me a pencil. Let me know that I cannot get what I'm looking for from you. And you keep that trust between us. Maybe one day in the future, I might have what you need. Then we can do business instead of losing the trust and losing the client. Okay. An example again. You tell a client, let's just say you tell a client that this is a luxury estate for high-end investors. Then later, when the client says the price is high, like I mentioned this before, and you say, no, it's actually a low-cost property. Well, you just said this is a property for high-end investors. The fact that you've mentioned high-end investors means that people who are willing to invest a large amount of money. So the client is confused. You just called it a very expensive property, and now you're saying it's cheap at the same time. Are you sure there's even a property? So the contradiction of identity is what has just been done. You've called something a pencil, and now you're also calling it a biro. You've called it A, and you're also calling it B. That is contradiction of identity. Okay, how many of us have ever changed the description of a property mid-conversation just to client? Say you are trying to market to a client, and in the middle of the conversation, you change the identity of the property. You say, it's not necessarily that. You do that sometimes, yes. You shouldn't do that. That's a contradiction of identity. At the end of it all, the client will not be pleased because he feels you are trying to play on his intelligence. We shouldn't do that. Now, the second law of logic is the law of non-contradiction. Nothing can be and not be. It's still related to the law of identity. So it says a thing cannot be this and still be it. Like, you can't say this is not a remote and say it is a remote at the same time. That is a law of non-contradiction. Let me give you a practical example now. You can't say this land is both developed and undeveloped. It's either developed or it's not developed. It can't be both. You can't say this land is a dry land and it's a swampy land at the same time. How? The question will always be there, how? How can it be both dry and swampy? How can it be both developed and undeveloped? You can say it's very close to town, but it's far. Is it far or is it close? You can't be saying two things at once. Okay. So in logic, contradictions destroy persuasion. You're persuading a client to purchase a property, and you are giving contradictions. You've destroyed your persuasion because he's not sure of what you want to sell him. So if you're not sure, it's best you say, I'll confirm and get back to you. If you're not sure about the distance of the property to town, it's best you say, I'll confirm and get back to you. It's better to pause than to contradict yourself. Has anyone ever asked you a question about your estate and you found yourself giving two opposite answers just to make the client happy? I think he made mention of something like that before. The third law is the law of excluded middle, either true or false. The law of excluded middle. It says a statement is either true or false. There is no middle ground. Still relates to the law of identity, the law of non-contradiction. A statement is either true or false. There's no middle ground. Okay? So it means when you make a statement, it must be clear, a very clear statement, not a vague statement, not somehow. For instance, if a client asks, is this land under government acquisition? Non-contradiction. So if a client asks you, is this land under government acquisition? You can't say, well, it's not exactly under acquisition, but we are still processing something. That's very, very, very confusing. It's not exactly under acquisition, but we are still processing something. What are you processing? The questions will be too much for the man to ask yourself. So that's not clarity, that's confusion. You are confusing the person that you're supposed to persuade to buy your property. So the law of excluded middle forces us to be clear. It forces us to be clear. Either it is or it isn't. Either the title is genuine or it's not. Either allocation is ready or it's not. Indecision in speech makes clients uncomfortable. When your statements are fair, people feel safe. Have you ever spoken to any client that kept asking you, I don't understand what you mean? Has that happened to you before? Like you're speaking to a client and the client continues to tell you, I don't understand what you mean. And you believe you're making a simple statement, but you're still telling you, I don't understand what you mean. That's because that statement you are making is living in the middle of true or false. That is why it doesn't understand. So it's either it is true or it is false. But if your statement is living in the middle of true or false, you hear responses like that. I don't understand what you mean. So the principle, the fourth rule of logic is the principle of sufficient reason. Every claim needs a why. I mentioned this from the beginning. The principle of sufficient reason. Every claim needs a why. The principle of sufficient reason. Every claim needs a why. I mentioned before, if you claim that a property will appreciate, if you claim that the property will appreciate in the next few years, you must give your reason to that client. without the client even asking you. Let them understand that you know what you're doing. Every claim needs a why. Nothing happens without a reason. So if they are asked, okay, why did you say this estate will appreciate quickly? You should have answers like, because there's a new airport nearby. That is a reason. You should be able to say, because there's a government housing scheme next door. That is another reason. So there's this thing a lot of marketers say when they are marketing their properties, and you hear things like, "This is the best investment you ever make." I'm sure a lot of us use that private market. But then why? You said this is the best investment you'll ever make. That is your claim. Don't forget, every claim needs a reason. So, what is your reason for making that claim? You need to explain to that client that this is it. This is the best investment you ever make because this land, this property has appreciated over 40% in the last 5 years. That is your why. You can't say things like, because it's good. What do you mean because it's good? Everybody will say their investment is good. So because it's good, it's not. That is just an assumption. That's not logic. You are assuming that it's good. Now, in sales, you need to understand that evidence is persuasion. The more evidence you have, the more you are able to persuade a client. So don't make claims, make reasoned claims. Reasoned claims. Don't just make claims. Make reasoned claims. Don't just say it's affordable. Say why it is affordable. Don't just say it's safe. Show the fences, show the title, show the development, show the people. Don't just say, don't just make claims. Make reasoned claims. So let's pause here and think about this. When your reasoning is clear, consistent, direct, and backed by evidence, your words carry weight. Clients don't follow who talk the loudest. They follow who make the most sense. Which? Last one. Okay. When your reasoning is clear, consistent, direct, and backed by evidence, your words carry weight. When your reasoning is clear, consistent, direct, and backed by evidence, your words carry weight. So from today, your voice should carry logic. Your logic should carry proof. Your proof will carry trust. That's how great marketers build reputations. One reason conversation at a time. Okay, let's go deeper into how arguments work. I'm trying to rush all of this. How we can use reasoning to convince smart clients, not just excite them. Building logical arguments and type of reasoning in real estate sales. Building logical arguments and type of reasoning. Yes. Building logical arguments and types of reasoning. So in logic, an argument simply means a set of statements that support a conclusion. An argument simply means a set of statements that supports a conclusion. So a logical argument has two main parts. I mentioned this before, but you can jot it down now. A logical argument has two main parts. It has a premise and a conclusion. A premise, and a conclusion. So a premise supports your conclusion. So it is your supporting facts or evidence that backs your conclusion. That is what a premise is. It's your supporting facts or evidence that backs your conclusion. Now, the conclusion is the point you want your client to accept. The point you want your client to accept is your conclusion. Let me give you an example. The first premise of this argument. Real estate in Lagos appreciates over time. The second premise, this estate is located in a rapidly developing part of Lagos. Now your conclusion. Therefore, this estate will likely appreciate over time. You can see from here that the first premise and the second premise have supported the conclusion. The first premise states that real estate in Lagos appreciates over time. The second, developing part of Lagos. Now, don't forget, we already appreciates over time. That's the first premise. Then we said, this estate is located in a rapidly developing part of Lagos. So the first premise is a general premise. Just speaking generally, just saying that real estate in Lagos appreciates over time. That's just a general saying. Then a specific premise is the second one that states that this particular estate we are talking about is located in a rapidly developing part of Lagos. So we are now able to draw conclusion from that to say, therefore, this estate will likely appreciate over time. Since real estate appreciates over time in Lagos, and since this estate is located in a rapidly developing part of Lagos, so therefore, the estate will likely appreciate over time. Now, I'll give you two types of arguments again. We have types of arguments. We have weak arguments and strong arguments. Now, a weak argument is an argument that does not follow logic, does not follow logical reasoning. Say, for example, now, you should buy this property because everyone else is buying. That's not logic. You can't tell somebody to purchase a property because every other person is purchasing it. It's a fallacy, and we'll get there. I'll explain to you what kind of fallacy that is. A strong argument follows logical reasoning. It will state something like this. You should buy this property because it's located 10 minutes from the expressway with an approved government layout, and prices in this area have increased by 30% in the last 2 years. Now that is a strong argument. You can see that the claim is backed by a reason, a solid reason. It spoke about the value increase. It spoke about the location, its proximity to the expressway. It also spoke about it coming with an approved government layout. That claim that the client should buy the property is backed by sets of reasoning. So, types of reasoning in logic. Types of reasoning in logic. We have a deductive reasoning. Deductive reason. Economics. Deductive reasoning. It starts from a general truth and applies it to a specific case. Example, all landed properties increase in value. This estate is a landed property. Therefore,
is faster appreciation. And step 4, call to action. Step 4, call to action. Call to action. Quote. Put in quotes. That's why it's wise to reserve a plot now. That's why it's wise to reserve a plot now before prices go up. That's why it's wise to reserve a plot now before prices go up. That's why it's wise to reserve a plot now before prices go up. So, this is applying logic to closing sales, the logical close. Step 1, you state the facts. Step 2, you connect the facts. Step 3, you show the benefits. And step 4, you call to action. Now, stating the facts. The estate is just 5 minutes from the expressway. You have stated a fact. Now you are connecting the facts. You say that means easier access and higher demand. You get my point? Is that not logical? It's very logical. If you say that the estate is just 5 minutes away from the expressway, of course that would mean that it has easier access. And a lot of people are actually coming for that property. Everybody wants to be close to the express, not too far from the express. Now, step 3, show the benefits. Higher demand means faster appreciation. If a lot of people are coming for some landed properties in an area, so many people are coming for it. And, I mean, one of the law of demand states that what? The higher the demand, the higher the price. Right? The higher the demand, the higher the price. So it's a law of demand. And here, this is another property. So it means that higher demand means faster appreciation, because the more people that come to ask for the price of this land, the more the price will increase. People are more interested in this land. It becomes something of like an auction, if you get my point. It looks like something of an auction. When this man comes and wants to buy your land, and you're telling him his land is the land is 10 million. How much 10 million? I'll pay 15. I want that land. Yeah, okay. Somebody comes again and tells you, I'll pay 25. Give me that land. I need that land. That is high demand. That's why he didn't do anything. He's appreciating on his own. He did not plant any yam, but it's appreciating on his own. Because there's a high demand. Everybody is willing to pay more for less. So, step 4, you now tell them, you give them a call to action. Like, that's why it's wise to reserve a plot now before prices go up. You are giving a logical clues to whatever presentation or marketing that you are giving to a prospect or a client. No shouting, no pressure, just calm, confident reasoning. Clients can feel when you are reasoning with them, not talking at them. So the psychology behind logical sales, when the client hears logic, when the client hears logic, they relax. Their brain shifts from defense to decision. That's when they start saying things like, that makes sense. You have a point. Why? Because you are being logical. The client says that you are halfway to the sales. The power of ethical persuasion. Let me make something clear. Logic is not about manipulating people. It's about respecting their intelligence. When you sell with logic, you are saying, I trust you enough to show you the truth. That's how you build trust capital, the invisible currency that keeps clients loyal long after the sale. How logic builds reputation. People talk, clients tell others how to make them feel, whether respected or pressured. When you sell with logic, they describe you as intelligent. They say you know your stuff and they refer others to you, not because you begged, but because you reasoned well. That's how you build a long-term career in real estate, not just with energy, but with credibility. Connecting logic, ethics, and success. Logic principle, sales application. Now, clarity is speak with facts, not noise. That's clarity. Consistency, keep your message steady. Reason, always explain the why. Every claim needs a why. And truth, avoid fallacies and exaggeration. Thinking smart and selling smart. That's today's topic. Let's not forget. So now, we close the session. I want you to remember something powerful. Sales starts in the mind. Every word you speak is a product of your thought. If your thinking is sharp, your speech will be strong. If your logic is clear, your persuasion will be irresistible. So from today, speak with logic, sell with integrity, and think with confidence. Because in real estate, the most valuable land is not the one you sell, it's the one you cultivate in your mind. So, tell me, anybody, what's one fallacy you will stop using after today? What's one fallacy you will stop using after today? The fallacy of exaggeration, yes. What's
The land will appreciate soon.
yeah.
The fallacy of strong.
Strong man fallacy, yes. Strong man fallacy. Remember what this again? What's strong man fallacy?
Twisting your client's
Words. Yes, exactly. What's one logic principle you will start applying immediately? One principle of logic you will start applying immediately. Yes, yes, yes. That's let me use the right word to confusion. Is it the law of identity? Is it the law of identity? Law of excluded middle. True or false? Which one? Okay. Abductive reasoning. Is that what you're thinking about? Yes. I think I understand. It's talking about abductive reasoning. The one where you are using the information on ground to make a conclusion. Is that it? As abductive reasoning is correct. So How will you ensure your reasoning always supports your sales? That question I want you to take home and answer yourself. If you can reason it, you can sell it. If you can explain it, you can earn it. And if you can back it with truth, you can keep your success forever. Thank you, Aaron. My name is Jan Mohan.
Okay, you asked questions. Put your hands together for him again, please. Okay, don't go far. He has a question. All right.
Because this class is very, very germane or crucial. I really appreciate Mr. Tijani Mohammed. I can see what you study really reflect on you. You know, I asked you that are you a graduate of philosophy? But when you mention economics, I know that economics has a philosophical aspect. It's just like political science. So thank you very much for that. So I was talking to somebody yesterday on the Apapa Island. I went for convention there. So I was trying to market a property at Abidjan Lekki owned by one of our P1 affiliates. And the price is 60 million. The person was telling me that he can't buy a property of 60 million. I tried to educate him. He said, if I have this 60 million, I'll go and use it to help the poor, to help the people. I said, anyway, I told him that there are some levels you will get to that your orientation will also change, that you'll be looking for security. I said, if you are buying a property of 60 million, actually you are trying to buy luxury, you want to live in luxury, you are buying security, you are buying serenity, you are buying peace, and you want to live in a good environment because you believe that your level has changed. So I shall try to educate him, and I said, I'm not saying you should not help the poor. Help them, you can also help me, I'm your brother. So if you buy property from me, Philip you're also helping me. Yes, I told him, I tried to educate him, and I give him an instance that look at Pastor Mati Ashimolo. He's a pastor and he's also a businessman. He's into real estate. Are you getting it? Because I was trying to coach my bishop, Bishop Nico, that is not into. I said, no, people are different. I said, if you can actually buy that 60 million naira land, I told him that that one is not even high. We have a property at Eko Atlantic that we are selling per square meter dollar, although that one is a building. I said, God bless you. Would you buy it? You buy it. So I try to educate you. So I just want to talk more on that in case when we meet those clients like that or prospects that their orientation is very good like that. Because I don't know why somebody say you cannot buy 60 million landed property in Lekki. You cannot compare Lekki with Apapa Island that you are living here, Belejo, Twanga, all those areas there. It's not the same thing with Lekki. And I give another instance in conclusion. I said, how many schools here, private school, can pay me 250,000, 300,000? So those are the things that take into consideration. If you're in the Lekki, Victoria, there are schools that can pay you 150,000, 250,000, 300,000, and so on and so forth. I said, those are the reason why you should be living in those kind of environments. So please add more to it.
So if you listen to this very well, you'll be able to realize the fallacies that were in this conversation we explained just now. I don't know, is there anybody that can identify the fallacy in this discussion? The discussion that you just mentioned now. Are you aware of the fallacies? Yes, a client said to you that he would not buy a property worth 60 million.
They just land. Yeah, that's all.
That's what it said. Okay. But then your response should have focused on the why. The response should have focused on the topic. I cannot buy just a land for 60 million. Your interest should have been on the client's interest. What are you looking at, sir? You went to commit the fallacy of attacking the person. You left the topic and you began to attack the person. You spoke of yourself, you spoke of other people, you spoke of many other things except the important one, which is what property will you be interested in? These are the other properties that I have at lesser prices. So you are staying on the topic if you give those kind of responses. Talk about him helping you, other pastors buying this and that, and you are not staying on the topic, you are attacking the person. So you committed the fallacy of attacking the person. So that is one fallacy that you should try not to repeat again.
Well, the guy will still come and back party for whether I like it. My brother is my friend. So he wants
Okay, any other questions?
if you cannot buy student, buy 10 million.
Any other questions?
Okay.
No, I don't.
It's adult not I just want to want to add.
So just as an added note to what he said, the thing is, if you are immediately, you have to understand that you're more like, when you're selling more like a doctor.
Yes.
So when someone tells you something, I tell people that there's when someone says something, they'll go straight to find out the bottom of what they're saying.
Exactly.
So a lot of times you might send someone a property and they're telling you no. But the reason they are telling you no might be they don't have the money. Now you are not in their pocket, so you don't know, right? Now they can also be telling you no because maybe they don't trust you or they don't trust the brand you are working with.
Exactly.
So the problem a lot of times is we hear that no and we just say, okay, I try to sell this property and the person don't answer. But the question is, do you really know why?
Why is always very important.
Right? Do you really know? You have to understand that. See, nobody. If you have ever been to a doctor consultation before, doctor say, you say, there's how my leg is doing me. There's how this thing is doing me. So okay, when did he start? He will start probing. He will start probing. What he's trying to do is he's trying to find out the actual cause. Now you are the person that is asking is starting from the symptoms. He's just mentioning, oh, my neck started, right? So that's the same way you're actually supposed to sell. Because the problem with a lot of people who are not even making sales is because they say you can sell SPCs. You are carrying SPCs that is 50 million to go and sell for people that see in another 5 years, if you have more than 10 million, they are probably not going to buy it. Even if they have the money, maybe they are not even in that mental class. That's why if you have heard Emily talk, she talks about the fact that there are certain circles you need to be for you to be pitching certain kind of properties. You cannot be going to talk to someone that is staying in a papa that is telling you like telling you they go Atlantic. That conversation is not useful. It's not in his class. It's not even something he can conceive. So there's no even point having that conversation. So there are a lot of conversations that the reason why it's even wrong is that you are not asking the right questions. Because by the time you ask the right questions, you'll be able to know. It's like I'll keep this person one side. I can save his number, he can save my number, but I'll keep him one side. It's not among the serious list of people I should be following. So you know. So it's not you buy from you, right? That's why you get disappointed. The person you are trying to sell to, you don't know now if this person has money. What's the person's mindset? And these are things you can hear when you have a conversation before you now say, okay, you know what? With what you have told me now, there's one land you are selling the show. There's one land you are selling the show. It's not far from that petrol gate. It's currently 6 million naira, and you can pay for one. You will now, and the only reason you would have come to that conclusion is because you have had a conversation with the person, and you are now beginning to understand where he's operating from. So you can now say, okay, let's go for this one. He will now tell you, okay, this one makes sense. Okay, maybe I'm not able to do it now. Let's talk about this. So if you are selling, you should sell like a doctor in the sense of always prove. No, when you go and pitch someone something, there are people that they tell you size up someone, especially people that make marketing. They say that look at how a person is, look at how the kind of car a person is driving. See, the person can be driving, he can be broke. Right? They can be driving. So sometimes your job is to act more like a doctor and prove. You can meet someone casually in one restaurant and people are person can buy land 30 million. It's not even one big restaurant, just one small side place there, right? So your job is to prove, because when you engage in conversation, not to sell first, but to understand who I'm talking to, because there's some people who talk and you realize the best thing you can do for this person is to register this person as a video. The only way you can tell the difference is when you actually have a conversation. So you know, okay, how best can I help this person? Because you are trying to help the person so that the person can also help you in two-way something. So I just think that you just share a bit of light. Focus on the why. If you are going to pitch someone, know the actual why, so that you don't start talking the one that you ask you, the one that did not ask you. It just saves everyone a lot of time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Justin, thank you very much. Any other question? Okay, without no other questions, so let's see.
Ask question.
All right, so thank you so much, Mr. Tijani. You know that we are written a lot. I mean, yes, some of us writing. Now, like I always say, it's not enough to write. You have to practicalize, take steps, action it. And when you action it, you have challenges. You will be. The reason why I know that most of us don't action it is because when we come back here, we don't have questions.
Yeah.
Because if you action something, you will hit a roadblock. You will come back. I know, sir, he actions a lot. And he comes and begin to fire me. What's this? That's that. I'm like, oh. Yes! Nice action. So I think, without further ado, so any question on the property, on our campaign? Yeah, try to learn. Inspection. We normally say when you have your client, give us 24 hours notice.
If my client is not around, I have to.
Well, if your client is not available and you know he's a good, serious client, still give us notice. Yes, give us notice at least 24 hours. Now, if your client is not coming and you are coming, it has to be, when you give us notice, it has to be more than 24 hours because we will now have to publish that you are going on inspection so that other PDOs can join for that inspection. So we have to make arrangements for that. But importantly, inform us. So, okay.
This surprise you said that is short for land.
The price is 8 million, but for child to landlord, it's 6 million.
So I say it's almost now, and person wants to pay, and person pays.
So if the person wants to pay now, we want to convince the person to pay to child to landlord.
And only the monthly instead of paying once.
No, you can pay once.
But if you are paying once, it's
No, okay, let me explain. The actual price of the land is 8 million, but for this campaign, it's brought down to 6 million. Yes.
Includes all the.
Yes.
So the price now is 6 million.
The price is 6 million. Yes.
Either you pay 12 months or you pay.
You pay once.
What would develop everything is under 6 million.
Development.
Yes.
Yes.
But after that, it goes to 8.
Yeah, it's 8. And once we stop the campaign. So if you have a client that wants to buy, the client says, hey, I don't want to buy for my child, I want to buy for myself. You have to convince the client to buy for your child. But to buy for the child, if the person wants to buy for himself, he will go for the 8 million. Because the subscription form is different. In the subscription form, there's a place for guardian parents, you feel, there's a place for beneficiary.
Oh, okay. So another cannot go for this one. Because of the price.
You are the one that actually buying it. Mr. Just, you understand? We are not putting the child's details only. The person who is buying it, the purchaser, is still you.
but you are buying it on behalf of a child. The details of the information about that child will still be on the soft form.
I'm buying it.
Yes. Right?
Okay, so this is where it encompasses everything.
Yes.
Even the development.
Developmental,
Survey.
team of assignment and registered survey and blood demarcation. If you request for the soft form, if you go through the soft form, you will see the breakdown of the payment, how it's breakdown. You see it there. Everything's and in our flyer, you notice we wrote no hidden fees, right? Yeah. I want to see how this thing works. Do you know that one affiliate, and so one affiliate adopted this process? Yeah.
Of
I don't know if theirs is ledge, right? But so, so what do you think about this idea of declaring the cost all at once?
this idea is good because already the client will settle his matter.
Right, yeah,
So
the
that
amount.
but after he has paid one payment,
We remain
that-
development.
That's the method to use, right?
So the idea is to be clear. So, like for instance, now the what's it called? What's the other one? Not the Hamilton Day. You know now the new flyer says 65 million. Exactly. Now, if you send someone that and they are thinking the land is 65 million, you now have to also clarify. So I think in some it's just very clear because if you can send someone that land, you tell there's land that you can go to that is 50 million. Right? That's when you now have to now bring the clarity and say, oh, let me explain. The actual cost of the land is this. So I think in summary, it's not about what I think, it's about what the market generally think about most of the campaigns that people out. But by the time you test it out, especially on certain properties and certain price range, and then you get the kind of feedback you're now getting, that when you now say, okay, maybe let's have two separate flyers. Like let's say have the one that just has the land price, and let's still have the one that is for this one, you clearly see together this one. So you just get actual market
Sorry,
feedback.
can I say, we talked about this in the trading today. It's if you have two flyers that are going out, you are sending two information. Depending on who it gets to, it's contradictory.
Yeah.
It's contradictory. So if somebody sees this flyer today and he sees 6 million, and he works on that place and he sees another flyer that is 8 million, he's confused.
Yeah.
Is it old price? Is it new price? Is it, I don't understand what is going on. So when we talked about that in training, the principle of non-contradictory, we must not contradict ourselves in the market. That's the moment. And secondly speaking, I've already explained that we should not be afraid we should not be scared to be questioned by clients or prospects. Because when we are questioned by them, it is for clarity. So if you are being asked a question, why is this one price like this? This one price 15 million, I say you owe me 65. Then you explain to him, this is the